Greetings, family, friends, and survivors. It is the 21st, and the sun came up over the mountain this morning, bright red. There's no weather system overcast. This is all smoke. Some of it's from the Chetco Bar fire, some of it's from the Miller complex behind me. So you guys need to Google what's going on in Brookings over on the coast, the other side of the Kalmiopsis. Because just like what it did to us back in 2002, they had a good run yesterday and the day before. So it went from 4,000 acres to 91,000 acres in a hurry. And when you have a plume-driven event, and they generate their own weather, and what happens with the plume when it's running, just literally metric tons of debris, unburnt debris, goes in a thermal updraft, gets carried way, way up, sometimes 30,000 feet. The one in 2002 was 35,000 feet, I believe. And then the heat column can't sustain the weight of the debris, and the plume column will collapse on itself. When it hits the ground, it just throws fire 360 degrees with another huge oxygen blast, kind of like there's this weather event that they have with thunderstorms sometimes where you have a 100-mile-an-hour wind hits straight down. Well, it's similar to that, only it's carrying burning embers with it, and that can trigger another plume event. So on a large fire, it's normal to have a plume-driven event day. In 2002, we had 7 in one day. And I'm going to leave in the description on this video a link to the official narrative of the Sour Biscuit fire in 2002. It's maybe 20 minutes long, really worth watching. Over half the people in the video I know personally and have for many years. And that's the official Joe County narrative, but then there's also what actually happened, the facts here on the ground at the time. And they stem from the Clinton Gore bio-free zone under the heading of biodiversity Agenda 21 plan. And you could say, well, that's a conspiracy theory. Well, I have a friend who's been a forestry officer in this valley. He's been in the forestry over 30 years. And he had the maps in his office, the overlay maps showing the human-free zone. And Agenda 21 under Gore would have removed all of the people out of the Pacific Northwest and designated it human-free. I'm really glad Gore didn't get in office. The problem is the holdover politics from the Clinton-Gore administration stayed in some of the positions in our federal government. And these are holdovers, and of course they were augmented again under Obama. And I have facts on the ground because my son almost lost 2 homes and 30 acres because they were going to extend the size of the national monument and just annex my son's place. And that's wrong. That's stealing, and that bothers me. But do your own research on it. I'm all for the firemen. Absolutely. I was a fireman. My son was a fireman for 16 years. My hat's off and deep respect for all firefighters, wildland, and structure. In fact, just about anybody in uniform is going to have my respect. And I appreciate their service. So this little rant isn't against firemen. They're following orders. And the orders, ultimately, when you're talking about the Kalmiopsis Wilderness, then the politics come down from the federal government, and they have to do what they have to do. There's not much the incident command can do about it. So this morning, when the sun was up, shining brightly out of an available 180 amps, I had half an amp because of the smoke. But now we're doing a whole lot better. I've got 18 out of a potential 72 amps on this one. I've got 14 out of a 56 amp potential. And I have 16 out of about 58 amp potential. So I'm putting 38 amps into the batteries, and it's noon, and we're probably getting close to solar noon, and we're running at about 1/3 power because of the smoke. You can almost see, I don't know if you can in the camera, you could see the big ring around the sun from the smoke. So I'm down by 2/3 today. No big deal. We'll still have it by the end of the day, easy. But smoke definitely affects solar production, and it affects the garden. In fact, it's very cool today. It should be 80 degrees by now, 75, 80 degrees, and last time I looked it was in the 50s. So smoke affects things. It affects your garden. It's just like your garden stops. It just doesn't grow because of the particulates that are between us and the